So I'll just go straight to the point. I created a spreadsheet where you can pretty much find over 700 companies that are hiring right now, right? The spreadsheet is free to access. You don't have to give me your email or anything. Just check the description of this video. You will find the spreadsheet. But I decided to take it a notch further by pretty much talking about some of the things you really need if you're planning to go remote. Now, this is based on experience. I've been hiring from all over the world for over 3 years now, and I've hired from Latin American countries. I've hired from African countries. I've also hired from European countries as well, Asian countries as well. We've pretty much covered a lot of things in these interviews, and some of the things I noticed in the interviews that pretty much prevented some people from getting hired is what I want to talk to you about, because it's going to save your life. It's going to help you a lot. But before I get started, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and of course like this video. Now, if you're looking to pretty much take your skills remote, you feel like you have what it takes to go remote right now, or you're just looking to start in this new year and you feel like you can actually do it, here are some things you need to pay attention to. I am going to list them one by one, and then of course I am going to describe them and explain why from my experience interviewing from several countries. Now, the first thing I want to mention is your English proficiency. I know it's funny because you're probably expecting me to talk about your hardware or the tools you have to set up or something, but it's actually not the case. From my experience, one of the things that pretty much get people kicked out after interviews or pretty much prevents them from getting a job is their English proficiency. Now you're probably thinking, but I write code. Why do they need my English? Well, if you cannot write or speak proper English, you will not be able to represent yourself during the interview. This is one key thing that a lot of people overlook, and it really bites them at the end of the day. When you are in an interview, you should be able to actually talk about the things you know. When the company decides to maybe test your English proficiency, maybe it's a customer support job or a social media management job, they want to test your English proficiency, you should be able to actually provide answers that are, clear and concise. So the very first thing you want to do is really work on your English. If you don't think that your English is okay, like you cannot speak proper English or write proper English or mixes with I am, then you really need to work on your English. There are platforms out there that you can use to learn English, like Duolingo. I'm pretty sure there are more that you would find if you Google them. And also there are platforms out there that you can use to, of course, also test your English proficiency to see if you're a C1 or C2 or A1 and all of that. So again, the very first thing you should work on if you're looking to work for international companies is your English language. Now, the second one is a working laptop. It could be a MacBook, it could be a desktop computer, it doesn't matter, but you need a working computer to pretty much work with most companies. Now, some companies might make an exception. Maybe you're a social media manager or you're looking to pretty much intern with them. They might let you work from your phone or a tablet, but not for long. So if you're really looking to break into the remote workspace, one of the things that might be holding you back is the fact that you don't have a working computer. So please really look into that. Try to get something that it doesn't have to be ridiculously, outrageous in terms of the price and specs. Try to get something pretty basic, like 8 gigabytes of RAM, something with a decent storage, maybe SSD, because most SSD computers are actually, they don't make a lot of noise. They heat up less. HDD is a bit tricky because, again, the most recent computers basically are SSD computers. So SSD, for the RAM size, try to do something with 8 gig RAM or higher, but not less than that, because if you have something less than 8 gig RAM, you might not be able to run software like maybe the classic Photoshop or some other tool you might be working with, even Microsoft Word. So try to get a computer with 8 gig RAM or higher, and of course for the storage, make sure it's SSD. So that's another one. And of course you have to look into getting a webcam, because for your interviews and meetings you're going to need something that has a webcam. So the computer needs to have a webcam maybe you have to buy an external webcam separately, or have the computer come with it. That would be better. Now, the third thing I want to mention is good internet. It's very important, because if you're in an interview and your internet is not good, the recruiter would automatically already decide, yeah, this is not a good sign. That's not a good flag. And because of that, they will just bear it. And then after that, they might disqualify you. So it's very, very important that you get a good internet. What is a good internet? Well, something that is very stable in terms of like the latency and the packets and all of that. The latency is not too high, it's lower, and you don't struggle to hear the next person on the call. They don't struggle to hear you. The video is not lagging. I cannot give you a particular benchmark in terms of speed, but try to get it as high as possible. Even better if you have a LAN cable, a wired internet, because wired internet usually performs better than Wi-Fi most of the time. So this is also something else you should look at. Get a very good internet. Get a good internet. Get something very stable, something that doesn't lag on the call, something that you wouldn't have issues with if you're on a call with someone or you're working. Then the fourth one is power supply. This is a very, very key part of the whole thing, because without a good power supply, you can't even reach anyone on the internet these days. You can't go online if you don't charge your devices. You can't go online if you don't plug your devices. It's close to pretty much like having a good internet. You need to have a good power supply. Now, one of the ways I've really handled this on my part is, I have an inverter, I have a generator, there's the government power supply, and of course there is also like a power bank, which I've reviewed here on YouTube as well. I do have all of those backups just in case something happens. There is no power from the government, or there's no fuel, I have that backup internet. Some people go as far as just setting up solar inverter in their houses so they have constant power. If you cannot afford these things at first, maybe try to work from a co-working space where they provide the internet, of course, good electricity as well. Start with that, and then you can grow from there. There are two more things I want to talk about. These are not big deals, right? But they make your work look more professional. They make it easy for everyone else out there, including recruiters, to take you seriously. The first thing I want to talk about is noise cancellation. Make sure you're working from an environment, or you have a computer or tools on your computer that pretty much blocks out background noise. There are also new headsets out there these days that have, noise cancellation. So from experience, most of the USB headsets out there that you plug to your computer actually already have noise cancellation. Some of them do not have, but if you're buying one, find out if it cancels background noise or not. There are also tools on your computer that you can pretty much, or softwares on the internet that you can download to your computer to block out background noise when you're on a call or when you're in a meeting. And then the last one is a good background. I've been in an interview with someone who their background had like an adult object in the background, and I was saying it all through. It was halfway through the interview, I was like, is that what I think it is? And they were like, oh, I completely forgot, and all of that. So you need to make sure that when you're on a call, your background is decent. You don't have any disturbing stuff. You don't have people running around. You don't have any objects that might trigger, a recruiter or your coworker. So some people use plain background. Some people just, back up to a wall, or just use a chair like this and then move their webcam closer. There are so many ways to do this, but make sure that your background is not very distracting or dirty or just concerning. So those are the tips I have for you. Of course, like I said, if you want more tips like this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and of course, like this video. Let me know if you have questions. I'll see you around.